Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome here. So I want to thank Global Leadership Foundation for giving us this awesome space, and also congratulate Open Forum for having this successful event here. I see a lot of crowd here, and I think in order to tell my story, I think I divided my part in 3 different parts. So first one is, who am I? Story of my life, right? I think that's why here, this is me, and that's going to be my story. And the second part is, what do I do? Why am I here? Like, what's my purpose in this life at this moment right now? Well, that's going to be the second part. And the third part is probably going to be, so related to my work and related to what's happening because of DACA and all that, what can we do? And what are the things that you guys can do to really make the good things happen in the near future? So basically, to go over my story a little bit, so my name is Jung Rae Jang. I am undocumented immigrant, and first and foremost, I'm a Korean American. That's what I identify myself as. And you can see the picture over there. That was actually in Phoenix, Arizona. I went to this event called United We Dream Congress. There was about 2,000 undocumented immigrants, just like me, mostly youth, who gathered together, strategizing what we can do, and just talk about our life story, basically. So I thought, like, well, it's a pretty cool picture. It's probably the only few pictures that are actually dressed up. So yeah, I should put that there. So that was actually, this picture, it was just this weekend. So to explain a little bit of my story, so I call myself an activist and organizer because it was my job when I worked at a Minkwon Center that I organize these young adults who are undocumented immigrants just like me to get together, have this support that we need because we face so many hardships in our life. And sometimes we need a shoulder to cry on or share the joy together. So that was my job as an organizer. And other thing that we do is we just go to cool events like this. You know, that was White House and this weekend. And what we mostly did there was we're having a 22-day vigil. So people are just gathering there for 22 days, just sleeping in the park, sleeping in the church. And we are there demanding that we need DACA. We have to defend it. And we have to defend the program called TPS, Temporary Protective Status. And I felt like it was a really cool experience because I've never seen so many Asian American, especially Korean American organization in one setting like that. So that was a really refreshing and energizing moment for me, knowing that we have this solidarity that's going on all around the United States. These are people that are from New York, just like me, from Chicago and LA. So it was really great to see what kind of solidarity we have. So go a little bit deeper into my personal story, as I mentioned. So I was originally born in South Korea in 1990, January 24th. That's my birthday. So if you want to send a gift, please do so. But I had a fairly normal childhood, I would say. I had my mom and my dad. They're kind of happily married at one point, I guess. I'll go into that. But yeah, fairly normal childhood. Went to school. I was a good kid. And yeah, growing up in Korea was such a bliss. Like, no problem there at all. And that's a picture that I took when I was a kid. I think I was around 10, so I wasn't that young, but I look really young in the picture. And when I posted that picture on my social media, the first question people ask is, what happened? Well, I don't know. It's like maybe it's a college partying, drinking. Who knows? Maybe it's time that I try some taekwondo, maybe, But that was me in South Korea. I was born to be a scientist. That's me building some satellite kind of thing, fake, of course. It doesn't really work, but yeah, just me trying to build something, And I think I learned that enthusiasm about education at an early age, and my mom really tried to make those dreams happen to me. My parents unfortunately divorced when I was a little bit younger, but my mom, she was my dad, she was my mother, she was everything. She always tried so hard to raise me, she always tried so hard to provide the best for me. And the whole story about me coming to the United States and what happened before, my mom was always there. So she was my pillar. And yeah, and so what happened was when I was 13 years old, my mom and we moved to Tunisia, North Africa, because my mom had a job at the Korean embassy as a chef. And that experience, I would say, in my formative years when I was 13, has a huge impact on me because that's when I first realized that I can be stranger, that I can be foreigner, that I can live in a country where I do not speak the language at all. Like when my friends talk about how they went to ESL classes, for me it was FSL, French as a second language. And that's why I have this weird accent when I speak English still to these days. But that taught me a lot too. It taught me about the diversity of people that surround myself with. It taught me about how to survive in such a foreign environment. Like I said, I didn't speak any language. I had a hard time making friends when I was in school, which was okay after a year or two. And like I said, I was there because my mom was there with me. And I cannot thank her enough how supportive she is. And I see that often cases in Korean society, when undocumented immigrant like me, when we try to come out and speak in front of the media, in public, parents are actually very against it. I think that's the truth. They don't want their identity to be revealed, and they don't want their son or daughters to be in trouble. Well, my mom doesn't say a word. She's like, yeah, just do it, Like, just speak about the issue if you want to. And a very supportive mother, so I cannot thank her enough again. And that picture was actually taken in 2014 when there was a huge legislative push for the immigration reform. It was really a big moment for many of us, especially all 11 million undocumented immigrants living in this country. And my mother was one of them, standing there with me, taking pictures, really supporting the rally. So I cannot be thankful enough for that again. So I came to the United States in 2015, and I moved around a lot. I moved first in Virginia, and then North Carolina, and then Georgia. And the reason why we moved so much was because, like I said, my mom had to raise me single-handedly, and she had to get whatever job that she could get. And when she heard that there's a higher paying job, we would move there naturally. And I think growing up in states like that, especially in Georgia, as an undocumented immigrant, it was a very harsh environment because, first of all, I didn't have any status, and you cannot do a lot of things when you're undocumented in states like Georgia. I could not get driver lessons when all my friends are driving around. I have to ask my friends often to pick me up or drive me to movie theater, for example, for a date. It's just also, that was around the time when I was junior year in college. High school. So I see all my friends trying to apply for University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, Georgia State University. Well, what did I do? I just sat there. I was like, I don't know, maybe, is there any chance that I can actually go to college? I was doubting myself a lot at that time. Probably one of the most hardest time that I had, that I had to go through. But I guess I endured. I asked my teachers about what are my options, asked my counselors what are my options. But there's not many things that I could do. So as soon as I graduated from high school, my mom and I would decide to move to other states because Georgia was just unbearable, and I really needed to wanted to get higher education, which is college degree. So that's when I decided to move to New York. We're actually deciding between California and New York, but I was like, yeah, but Mom, New York looks so much cooler in the movies. I want to live there. And which is true. So that's why I moved to, that's why I ended up in New York. Otherwise, I would have been in California right now, maybe living in LA or San Francisco or something, right? And I never regretted that decision ever since I moved here. New York, when I first moved here, I felt like I was protected because we have a citywide, very progressive policy that would protect undocumented immigrants from ICE raid, for example, in your workplace or in your home. And that was very reassuring for me. But still, there was that barriers that I have to overcome because of my status. For example, when I first tried to apply for CUNY colleges, I applied for Hunter. I still could not get in situation because I graduated from Georgia. And even after the people with a green card or citizenship can get their residency approved after a year or so, I still could not because of my status. So I did face some challenges here and there. And I think more memorable moments that I can remember is that I was actually a political science major. So I got into college. I got help from my mother, and I was working part-time time to time and getting help from my dad, who never paid a dime in child support, but he's like, yeah, I can pay for college, I guess. So, thank Dad. But yeah, but I was a political science major, and I really wanted to do something that's related to my major. So I found out about this volunteer opportunity for the local election that was happening at the moment. I unfortunately cannot remember who the candidate was. But I went to the office and I told them, hey, I'm a political science major. Maybe this is something that I want to do. And can you give me a job? But unfortunately, the answer was no, because I could not work legally in the United States. That was 2011, before the DACA came out. So I think that was probably the second time that I felt so disappointed. First time was probably when I learned that I cannot go to college in Georgia. And second time was that I cannot pursue what I wanted to do with my passion. So yeah, that was a huge moment, and that was really downer. I mean, I was a mess, you know. I was like, then why? What's the point of even going to college? Like, with this degree, what am I going to do after? Like, should I even stay in the United States? So I contemplated about, what if I go back now? Just go to military in Korea for 2 years and I'll be good. I'll be a citizen there. I'll be accepted. I had a lot of thoughts at the time, but DACA was announced in 2012, August. So I was still in college, and I actually saw this live stream from the White House when they first announced it. It was a Rose Garden, President Obama all dressed up. And then, like, today, we're announcing DACA, the Deferred Action for Child Arrival. I mean, that was my best impression of President Obama. But yeah, and I was like, you say what? Like, now we can work in the United States legally right now? Like, that's awesome. So I was very happy about the outcome on that day. So I think that's when I first went to Minkwon, because after hearing their announcement, I was preparing myself, like, what are the documents that I have to prepare? Like, can I get some lawyer? Because lawyers are very expensive. And, you know, I unfortunately couldn't afford it after paying all the tuitions and, you know, living expenses. So went to Minkwon Center and I met a bunch of people there, and that's when I realized that not only like the Minkwon Center helps people with the social services, but also they are advocating for something that's bigger. For example, immigration reforms, DREAM Act at the time. And I felt immediately attracted to like what they're doing, what the mission was. So I started hanging out a lot more with the people at the Minkwon Center. I started volunteering when we had the first DACA clinic. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I finally had a family that I can share my problem with, that I can share this issue with. And that was also the first time after DACA clinic that I had my first drinks. So I guess it's kind of good and bad in the sense, but yeah, Juban probably remembers that. So yeah, and then I got involved more and more. Then I started to speak up in front of public about my story, about the issues that people experience. And I feel like that was the moment that really made me feel like the sense of empowerment, that I'm not defined by who I am as an undocumented immigrant. My status, immigration status, does not define who I am. I am defined by what I do, what I build as my character, and what I aspire to be in the future. And I think that was probably the best thing that came out of all doing the activism work and things like that. And also great individuals that I meet, people that are in a similar situation as me, who went through the same struggle, but people that are fighting together, that solidarity, like the people that I saw in DC. So that was actually the Labor Day when we went out and marched across the Brooklyn Bridge in support of the immigration reform. That was also 2014. So yeah, I got involved more actively, and as I was in college, I was pursuing political science. Then I changed my mind because I just took one class in political philosophy, and I was like, yeah, maybe political science is not for me. I don't like this at all. So changed to history, and whether it's a good move or not, I'm not sure. But these are also the people that I met. For example, the United Dream, which is an organization we work closely with, they had a big Congress event where this time 1,000 people showed up. And those are all the people of the same age as me, Asian Americans that are undocumented, which I never met before I came to DACA. I mean, before I came to Minkwon. So that sense of community was really there. That's what drives me to do all the work that I do until today, because, you know, they're my friends. I'm fighting for not just for me, but my friends and also my family, like my mother, who's still undocumented or without protection of DACA. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I do, and I will soon be working for the city of New York as a community organizer, as a neighborhood organizer. So my work with the community is never over. Even though I'm moving away from the nonprofit organizations that I used to work for, I was still gonna be there. I was still gonna be in support. I was still gonna show up for the events and rallies. So yeah, my spirit will be with you even if I cannot be there in physical body. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I do. And to emphasize a little bit of what I did at the Mincon Center as a community organizer was that I was doing a lot of housing organizing at the beginning. Then I moved on to organizing what I really feel passionate about, Korean American young adults, Asian American young adults. So we formed this group called the Asian American Dreamers Collective. It's a group of around 15 to 30 people, active members, and we have a meeting once every month. And basically we talk about our struggle, the recent news about what is going on. And yeah, these are like my new family right there. I mean, yeah, they understand me, I understand them, and build the power together. So I feel like that was really a good experience for me in terms of, getting over some of the trauma that I experienced as an undocumented immigrant, but building a new family and relationship and network. So yeah, so that's a little bit of what I did. Now, I think to go over the third part, which is about what can we do. I think there's a lot of misconception, and it may not be just misconception. It may be true in a certain way, but people feel like they are powerless because they are undocumented, because they went through these phases where they could not help or do something because of their status. And I totally understand this is a legitimate concern. I mean, I went through it myself, but I think it's time that we come out together, because no matter what we're trying to do, and no matter what happened, for example, with the DACA, it's not like the President Obama woke up one day on the good side of the bed and say, today is a day that I'm, proposing DACA. It's gonna be cool. It was never the case like that. It was actually a lot of behind negotiation with the organizations like United Dream that I mentioned earlier, where youth leadership, where the tech industry, where religious leaders really came together to demand DACA for the people, especially 1.3 million potential beneficiaries. So yeah, we need more manpower, we need more community power, and it's about time that we build the Asian American power, because oftentimes our voice is not heard. When you talk about immigration issues, people usually claim it as it's a Latino issue. But is it really though? Like, who do you know that are amongst your circle of friends or families or coworkers that are Asians that are affected by these immigration issues? Think about it, the number is big. And that's why we have to build a stronger force together. And as an undocumented immigrant, I think it's time that we get out of the fear and really push for something that's more meaningful. Something that's more meaningful than just DREAM Act or DACA. But maybe we can fight stronger for our parents as well, because they are immigrants and they need help more than anybody else at this point. So yeah, that's one point that I really emphasize. And more specifically, so what can you do, right? So come to rallies, come to events like this, learn more about this issue, educate yourself, educate others around you. And also, not only that, you can, for example, if you're a voter, who's a registered voter or a citizen, you can certainly send maybe a letter or give a call to your local representatives. Like, I think Grace Mang, if you live in Flushing, she's a representative in the House for us. Just, shoot her a phone. It's like, hey, so I'm in support of the immigration reform, I'm in support of DACA. Would you make sure that you will support those legislations when it comes to vote? Things like that. It doesn't have to be so complicated that you have to meet the president one-on-one and whatnot. I mean, I don't think he will do it, but, simple things like that. And I think we'll probably go over a little bit more of that during the open forum session when we have a panels to discuss that. Yeah, but those are the things that I want to ask to people that are here and people that are watching at home, and people that are undocumented just like me. And lastly, I think I want to close it with, so this was supposedly the video that I wanted to show people. It's a scene from the Wolf of Wall Street. Has anybody watched the movie? Yeah, so there's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. That was a scene where this movie is coming from. And that is who we are. We are undocumented immigrants. We lived in this country for the majority of our life. And this is the only home that we know. So we are not leaving. We have nowhere else to go. We cannot go back to Korea and expect to adjust there in a matter of time. We just can't. So that's one thing that I really emphasize. And lastly, and it's a t-shirt that I'm wearing. So fear is for others, right? So if our community comes together and really get together in solidarity, whether you're Latino, whether you're Asian, whether you're woman of color, whether you're LGBTQ community member, or whether you're African American, if we come together and build a stronger power, the fear is not for us. It's for the other people that are hating on us, other people that call us bad hombres, other people that said we are just welfare munchies, people like that. They are the one that they will fear if we come together. That's the message I want to really deliver tonight. So yeah, I guess I'm done here, so thank you so much.